Draw simple, easy.
Well, hello there guys. Today we're going to be drawing a quick, simple, easy picture of Feitan from Hunter x Hunter, one of the more dangerous members of the troop. So go ahead and on your piece of paper with your cheap mechanical pencil, whatever you can find, draw yourself a nice fairly large circle right towards the top, right towards the middle. And like I always say, I build these circles using up lots of small lines to slowly work out that rough shape. Now this is going to be the top of Feitan's head. So if you imagine a halfway point straight down the middle of this circle, we're going to have him looking off to the left. So you get to split this circle again into a quarter down here. And this for us is going to be the center line that comes off down the face. Now, normally I let you know to split your circle into thirds. So if you imagine 1/3 up at the top, 1/3 in the middle, 1/3 towards the bottom, and then just imagine this distance again, another third right off the bottom to be the bottom part of Feitan's face. And you can just curve a drawn line straight from the outside left hand edge right towards the bottom, and then you can do a similar thing by bringing another line up towards the other quarter of the circle. So we've really split this circular shape up. Now mapping out this face isn't too much of a challenge because most of Feitan, his bottom of his face is covered. So we're going to go straight in and worry about the main features. It's all to the left, all following this central line. So using this line we've just made, the bottom third, I'm going to have that be his eye line. Now I'm going to go ahead and just get in firstly an eyebrow zone instead, about the bottom half of this particular rectangle of shape that we've made. Just going to have a long eyebrow that just reaches off past the halfway mark. And then we're going to do a similar thing over on the left, that's just foreshortened off to about this far. And then with his eyes, he's got these very small suspicious eyes, this character. So I'm going to keep it around about here, around about where this intersection is between the halfway line and this halfway up the whole face height line. And I'm just going to create the top hood. It starts off level but dips in towards the middle, so it's got a slightly slanted look to it. And then the underside of the eye is going to do something very similar. It's going to be flat and then slant up towards the outside. So you see how this goes flat and then up, and this one is flat and then down. And then very similarly again, I'm just going to pop in something on this side, just indicate where this eye will be as well. You'll notice this one's much thinner because it's further away on the face. And then his nose is somewhere around about here. It just drops in to a point there and comes off down there. So I'm just fitting that, all of this information, straight into this bottom little corner cut off area of the face circle. So I'm just going to drop an eye straight in here, right in the middle, that's mostly covered by the top of the lid. And then we'll put in something similar down on that side. And then there's going to be an extra line here for the hood of the eyelid, something like that. And then something similar down there. And then the eyebrow itself is slightly thicker on the inside edge. I'm going to give that a bit more shape. Where it curves up, it goes down on the outside edge, just to make sure his attitude is still very cynical, up and then down like so. Let's just make sure that's all in focus. Lovely, that'll do. And then with Feitan's hair, we're going to go up to this top quarter zone that we've made, or the third of the circle. And then from the middle, I'm just going to go up ever so slightly again, around about this mark, because he's got a bit of forehead. And then we're going to just draw in the whole hair zone area. So in this example, if this is the hairline, I'm going to swoop up a bit first, and then I'm going to swoop down. So he's got that center parting element. And the spikes of his hair kind of come past the eyes, and there's a few that are around about this level, just below the nose line of his hair. And then he has a few spikes of hair that come down about here. And then there's another one around about here that shoots off further back. And in fact, the fourth one, I should say, this is probably the one that comes right around here and starts to really swoop back with his hair. And the reason why I'm just focusing on the inside ones at the moment is because we're just mapping out the space of the face. But we will come back to this hair. So let's go up on this side as well, on the left. And this is going to have maybe a bit that just drops straight down over towards this eye here. Just a very thin piece. Just creating these points and triangles, always in the direction of the flow of the hair. And then he's going to have all sorts of other bits that maybe come down to similar heights. Just curving off here, just curving off the shape of the face. And then again, there'll be more about here. In and out, up and down. So just keep getting these zigzag shapes on. This part of the hair is probably going to follow a shape that just goes outside the edge of the circle and then comes back up to be the hairline. And I'll get another line down the middle here for the parting. And then the rest of the hair, it comes off the back of the circle that we've put in, and it does all sorts of cool shapes. It kind of swoops out really big towards the top, just getting in these rough points that we can pick in with more detail later. And then I'm just going to start to put in a few abstract shapes. So it's going to be, for example, big curving triangle of hair around about here. I'm going to put that in straight away, straight out of the circle, and then I'm going to join that up with a few other bits here. Maybe just a thin wisp there, and then lots more bits of hair that just come down, follow this kind of shape as it all comes in. It's all curving off the top, and it's either slightly curving in at the front, or it's just curving out and away towards the back. And if we just follow that motion in general, we'll be absolutely fine. So I'm going to have one counter curving bit of hair that's going to maybe come off of here and just shoot out in that direction as well, just to mix it up. Excellent. Now on the left hand side, over this part of the fringe, we're going to have as well another hair that just kind of shoots out a bit, ever so slightly, and just comes in as well, just a bit of character to the whole thing. And then with his cowl that he wears, we're going to take this nose area that we've got here, round about the bottom half of his face. I'm just going to imagine a curve that goes all the way around. It's a curve that bumps upwards slightly, like so, but otherwise it follows the face all the way along. And it doesn't come too far out to the left. I'm just going to imagine a rough shape that drops down to maybe just below the chin line. And then on the right hand side, it comes all the way back out to around about here. And again, I'm just going to curve that gently in, just as a rough guiding shape, and bring that ever so slightly down towards a point, roughly following this whole center line, just so we know roughly how that's going to be mapped. Then we can go ahead and just fit in a few bits. We've got an ear around about here for Feitan, so just make sure we've got a tiny bit of detail there. The hair is going to all meet into the top of the head along here. Let's get that in. And there's going to be, even though he has dark hair, probably light highlight along here. So I'm just putting a bar of shape in along the hair here. And that's just going to help us map out where there's going to be all sorts of zigzag light area. Now I don't worry too much about that in the inking, but that's just something that's going to come up when I add some colour to the character that you'll see on the end screen. So with the rest of this, if you imagine we've got the width of Feitan's head in this circle, I want to make his shoulders about 2 circles wide. So I'm going to go 1 circle's width from this centre line round about here, and then 1 circle's width from this centre line is going to be around about here. So his shoulders in this instance are about 2 heads wide. It's not bigger because Feitan, this character, is fairly slight of build. Now where I've got these areas where the shoulders should be for this character, I'm just going to ever so slightly slope them downwards, just off to the edge as a bit of a guideline, and then you can kind of just follow these lines down and in for his stance. Now one arm's going to just drop off back here down to the right, and this arm as well is probably going to just drop off because he often has his hand in his jacket pocket. But firstly we need to map out the rest of his cowl. So I'm going to go towards this edge of the shoulder, just like I will here, not quite to the very end but towards it. And I'm just going to map a shape that comes all the way down towards here and then all the way up like so, just creating a slight curvy shape as we do so. Same on this side. And then what I get to do now is just map a bit of a border that he's got to this bandana. So I'm going to follow this line now, just on the inside edge by about this far. Do the same thing, following the shape of the line, back up and in. And I'm going to do the same thing for the bottom edge of the cowl as well. Follow the curve, along and around about that far, and then we get to map in where he's got this kind of design. So there is a skull that's around about where his mouth is. We're going to start this using our center line by just drawing in a bit of a circle firstly to keep it nice and easy, and then we're just going to drop off very simply 3 teeth. It's a very simple design. 1, 2 and 3. In fact, let's make that a little bit smaller. Oh, he has to use a rubber. What do you know? And we're just going to drop those teeth a little bit closer together. 1, 2, 3. Much happier. The skull shape, really simple as well. In the middle, there's that upside down kind of heart shape you might have for the nose. And then the eyes are fairly large, wide and around. It's kind of a cross between a skull and a ghost. It's like the skull of a ghost, that's how I'll say it, in terms of how the design's all wibbly wobbly. And then on the outside edge, we're going to just this curve of the shape of the skull, and we'll do the same over here, just on the sides, and that's going to be how we're going to pop our wings in. So again, come out to the right. I can imagine a shape that just curves ever so slightly down, like so. And I'll just recreate that here, but thinner, curves ever so slightly down, like so. And then we're just going to put in a few notches. So one here, and one here. And just like that, you've got that shape. Little notch in here, a little notch in there. So other than that, we just need to put in the appropriate fold, Feitan. So I'm going to go ahead and just create a bit of a more varied outline here. It's going to dip in slightly. It's going to pop out around about here. Again, come in. There'll be another fold here. So I'm going to create a line that swoops down here and then swoops up and away and then comes back on itself just to show an area of fold and shadow. And then from here, there's going to be just a few bits that might swoop out. Make this just a little bit thicker on the border. And then on this side as well, I'm going to create just a bump that folds out around about there. And then this is going to just maybe swoop down around about here. And this part is just going to drop naturally off the shoulder as well. I think I'm going to bring this line in just a little bit, just working and changing as we move along. This line here, I'm just bringing that up just closer to the neckline ever so slightly. Lovely. And then we've got the shoulder space off of here. There's going to be the fold or stitch in the material here, and just a few, again, notches where there's folds in his jacket. His jacket is very dark. I don't know if it's leather or black material, but again, just get some fold lines in there. And now with the border, it's just a load of V's and triangles. So if I just do a letter V there, and then I just do an inverted V, just like this, I'm just going to keep following this shape all the way around for this sort of pattern it's got on there. Same on this side as well. Just lots of upside down, right side up V's. And then he's got the same in the middle here. Oh, there we go. All the way around. And then just with the eyes, there's just going to be a little bit of area of shadow up in here, and there's going to be a bit of a bump to the underside of the eye here. Because of his expression, instead of this curve being completely flat, we're going to bump it up ever so slightly and just show a slight bit of fold in the skin here, just where his eye is closing suspiciously. He's always a very suspicious character. The outside edge of the face here obviously goes to the eyebrow line before dipping back into the eye and just curving out ever so slightly, but most of that is going to be hidden by all of his hair. So there we have it, a nice, quick, simple, easy picture of Feitan. I hope you found this useful. We're going to drop into some time lapse, and I'm going to ink on top of this and show you which of the lines we're keeping and which of the ones we're getting rid of, and I'll see you right at the end. And there you have it, a nice, quick, simple picture of Feitan from Hunter x Hunter. So I'm going to go ahead and get this scanned in. I'm going to make the hair very dark, but don't forget I'm going to have a little bit of zigzaggy reflection here when I put the colouring on. He's got a very, very pale skin tone complexion, and he's got these dark grey, maybe slightly red pupils to his eyes. The cowl is in a kind of dark purple with very dark pinks, very subdued colours here. White skull with black eyes, and then his jacket is also a very dark grey blue sort of purple colour. And these cowl bits are in a kind of bluish grey as well. Okay, well I hope you guys found this to be useful. Do get in the comments and let me know who else you'd like to have a draw simple easy lesson with. And don't forget you can always support this channel on Patreon where you get loads of art rewards, or just go ahead and click the like and subscribe buttons. It really helps me out, and it is of course a pleasure having you guys as long. See you next time round. Take care.